Search efforts for the missing on the Seoul ferry continue, but progress is slow. Ongoing investigations leave little doubt the ferry was mismanaged. Food delivery services are top-notch in Korea and a part of the culture. It's also a profitable market for many businesses and now just a few touches away. And Hallyu continued. Korean stars paving the way in Hollywood and hitting stardom in their own right. Several blockbusters starring Korean stars are in the near. Mapo-gu district has long been known for its hidden delights, but not so hidden anymore. Ever indulge in jokbal, also known as pig's feet? Don't knock it till you try it. On Korea Today, Friday, May 2nd, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And thank you for joining us on Korea Today. I'm Kim Young alongside Ojin Ju and Kim Min-jung.
Good morning. The so-called golden holiday weekend will start tomorrow, and many of us are excited as Children's Day and Buddha's birthday fall on Monday and Tuesday, all of which are national holidays and giving us 4 days off.
That's right. Many people are excited, but the weather is going to be a bit of a wet blanket. We are expecting some rain as well as yellow dust to cover the Korean peninsula through this long break. And also people are trying to keep it low-key considering what happened with the Seoul ferry.
Right.
That's right. And now we will turn our focus to the seas of Jindo Island as search efforts continue for some 80 still missing from the sunken Seoul ferry. Coast Guard, Navy, and civilian divers have not been able to report significant progress in search efforts hampered by poor visibility and debris within the ship. To assist in the search, a diving bell was mobilized early Thursday but pulled out just 2 hours later after being deemed ineffective. A civilian diver installing guidelines for the bell was reported to have collapsed during decompression and hospitalized. Divers plan to focus on opening the doors of closed sections within the ferry over the weekend. And after a body was found 2 kilometers away from the accident site, Prime Minister Chung Hong-won visited the Jindo Gymnasium and reassured families that fishermen of Jindogun County have agreed to assist in setting up a second and third perimeter to secure bodies that may go adrift. And on terms of investigations, investigators have arrested another suspect for allegedly receiving money from a ship modification company while turning a blind eye to overloading the ship.
The White House is expected to nominate Mark Lippert, Chief of Staff to the Secretary of Defense, as the new U.S. ambassador to South Korea. Diplomatic sources say Washington notified Seoul of its decision during President Barack Obama's visit to Korea last week. Having served also as Chief of Staff for the National Security Council and Assistant Secretary of Defense for Asian and Pacific Security Affairs, the 41-year-old official is one of President Obama's longest and closest serving foreign policy advisors. He is known to have played an integral role in drafting the Pentagon's part of the Pivot to Asia policy. The Korean government is reportedly welcoming the nomination as Lippert has an extensive working relationship with Seoul and direct access to President Obama. Lippert, once confirmed by the Senate, will replace the current U.S. envoy, Sung Kim.
And Korea's financial watchdog has announced new measures to prevent further incidences of customer information leaks from financial companies. The Financial Supervisory Service has put a limit on the period financial groups and their affiliates can share clients' personal data, reducing it to 1 month. In addition, employees of financial holding subsidiaries deliberately leaking customer information will be dismissed. This comes after several cases of major security breaches, the latest in January when information of over 100 million customers held by major financial institutions and their affiliates were leaked.
Just a tab on your smartphone, they'll deliver anything you want. It's not just pizza or Chinese food, but now it's even Thai noodles and pork belly. Now, this is becoming a widespread culture in Korea as more and more mobile application companies are competing to secure a share in the delivery market. To tell us more about this new trend, we're now joined by Connie Kim. Good morning, Connie.
Good morning, Jinju. So you're right. As you mentioned, those food delivery orders taken late at night now take up about 30% of the whole food delivery market. And some companies recognizing this huge potential to grow has decided to jump into this expanding market. Now, these are called food delivery application companies now taking advantage of smartphone technology, making it more convenient and offering a lot more variety of food to the consumers. So let's take a look at what's making this service so attractive and how companies profit from this new business model.
Scrumptious meat and kimchi delivered straight to your door in minutes. When ordering delivery food, people normally have to wait, not knowing exactly when their meal is going to be delivered. But this popular food delivery application in Korea sends a text message to its consumers to let them know exactly when their food will arrive. Food menus meet with internet technology. This is the concept that a growing number of people are welcoming in the nation, including 36-year-old Im Hyun-woo. After returning from a long day of work, cooking dinner is the last thing Im wants to do. He opens a food delivery application on his smartphone and scrolls down to decide on what he wants to eat. Im has access to more than 130,000 stores at his fingertips, and his food is delivered within 10 minutes.
I live alone, so I usually order from food delivery applications. There's a lot more variety to choose from. I don't have to worry about losing menus.
These food delivery application companies have created a profitable business model. They receive around 13% of every order in commission fees from restaurants that participate, along with monthly promotional fees. It's another way of tapping into the prospering food delivery market that is expanding rapidly. Growing at an annual rate of more than 20%, industry insiders estimate the nation's food delivery market at around $9.7 billion. The love for delivery comes from the national character of Koreans who prefer things fast, faster, and fastest. The recent rise in the number of single-person households has provided another boost to the food delivery market. The smartphone payment system acts as another convenient option for consumers.
The payment systems on smartphones have made it even easier to get food delivered, and having direct access to hundreds of restaurants is helping the food delivery application market grow at a fast pace.
With the high demand for simplified and convenient delivery systems, competition in the market is growing, with food delivery application companies battling it out for a bigger piece of the pie. For example, the two leading companies in the market are funded by venture companies from home and abroad to the tune of nearly $9.7 million. One firm said they're investing in the food delivery application sector because the company is growing at a pace of about 25% each month. In 2 years, experts say around 1/3 of the total delivery industry will be transferred to the online and mobile delivery market. New competitors are now looking to enter the industry. One social commerce company has already started selling discount coupons of up to 30% for shoppers since February. Offering more options for a wider array of palettes in a convenient manner, it's a combination that's sure to continue enticing consumers to open their wallets and their front doors to food delivery men.
Talk to those who run these food delivery application services. What do they say? How did they make this all happen?
You're right. I did actually talk to one of the employees at the food delivery application companies, and what they told me is that the biggest asset they have is a large database of the restaurants they currently have. Now, when they first started business operations, they started collecting as many food pamphlets across the nation, collecting up to more than 50,000 during the first 6 months, creating a database of more than 100,000 today. And according to one market research company, they say that the online advertisement industry now takes up about 1/3 of the whole pamphlet industry.
So the main source of profit for these application companies are advertising and commission fees, but what about in the perspective of these small store owners? Is it as profitable as the application firms for them?
Right, as you mentioned, most of the profit comes from the commission fees they get from the enlisted food stores. But thinking about it from the flip side, these food restaurants, including small mom and pop stores, have to pay up to at least 15% commission fees to these food delivery application companies. So, but as consumers get easier access to these variety of food at the tip of their fingers, new business models are expected to be introduced into the market, just like the one social commerce company that recently entered the market.
And I hear that one of the leading delivery applications has lowered its commission fees to a single digit last month, lessening the burden for these small business owners. We do hope that such efforts continue in the future. Thank you, Connie, for your report today.
My pleasure.
Good morning. Let's run through the front pages of your newspapers. And with the whole nation still in shock and grief, tens of thousands of citizens flock to various locations in the country that have memorial altars set up to pay tribute to the Seoul ferry victims. And we'll go ahead and begin with that story on Gyeongyang Shinmun. Take a look at this headline here. And it reads, it's also an image showing the countless number of citizens who have been waiting in endless lines to pay homage to the victims at a joint memorial altar set up in Ansan Hwarang Park in Gyeonggi-do Province. The headline beneath reads, 600,000 citizens pay respects with chrysanthemums. Now, in the sub-headlines, it says that instead of going on any holiday outings, citizens, regardless of age, held white chrysanthemums as they solemnly offered their condolences at various memorial centers, 78 of them set up across the nation. And on 중앙일보, we'll take a look at this image. It's on the front page of a mom still having heard no word of her missing son. Now the title of the picture is heart-wrenching. It says, "My baby, you must be hungry." And I'm not sure if you can make it out in the picture, but she's sprinkling rice over the waters where her son is still believed to be trapped inside of. And moving to 동아일보, we're going to have a look at this headline beneath the image separately. And it reads, despite desperate need for rescue, Cheonghaejin Marine Company employee fabricates cargo load. Now, the paper reports that when the ship was sinking and rescue operations were of the most urgent matter, it turns out that employees of Cheonghaejin Marine Company were downsizing the amount of cargo on board the ship by fabricating the numbers on their computers. The employees realized that the overloaded freight amount could become problematic and decided to reduce the number to destroy regarding the evidence, proving a completely morally hazardous behavior, according to this paper. And moving on to 조선일보, take a look at the top image here. The picture of the title of the picture says, amid the Seoul tragedy, 150 Chinese fishing boats occupy the waters of Yeonpyeong-do Island. Now, off the northern coast of Yeonpyeong-do Island, a fleet of 150 fishing boats from China were seen to be resting out on the waters after conducting fishing operations into the wee hours of yesterday. As you can see here, the caption explains that the boats were only about 300 meters away from the Korean fishers at the waterfront. And a citizen on the island, in fact, said Chinese boats had been crossing the northern limit line for days now to fish. And because the country is busy with the recovery efforts for the Seoul ferry disaster, it seems that a crackdown on such activities is difficult at this time. And moving on to some business news on the Korea Economic Daily here. The headline says, Seoul ferry disaster also claims jobs. Now, in the sub-headline, according to this paper, the tourist industry is being directly hit by the disaster, with group tours being canceled one after another. The paper also reports that as school trips, retreats, picnics, and marketing events at companies are being canceled as well, related work is disappearing too. Now, if you take a look at this image separately, for instance, last year, almost 60,000 people had visited Gyeongju's Bulguksa Temple on field trips, but the number has downsized to less than 2,000 so far this year. And finally, on the Mail Business newspaper, taking a look at this story onto the side here. It reads, prioritize budget allocation for creating a safe country. Now, President Park Geun-hye yesterday ordered officials to prioritize the budget review and allocation on measures to improve national safety, stressing an immediate need to transform the country's entire safety system in the wake of the deadly sinking of the Seoul ferry. Now, at a meeting with ministers to discuss national fiscal strategy, she said each ministry and agency should strictly re-examine all of its budgets and projects related to safety affairs, giving prior support for related personnel as well. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Friday. And coming up are the stock numbers from Thursday.
Time now to get a check on the weather. The weather will play a big factor. It will make or break this long break.
That's right. So far, Saturday and Sunday, they're expecting a bit of yellow dust, but will it continue to the whole 4-day weekend? We'll find out more with Chun Sung-cho joining us. Sung-cho, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. A lot of you guys must be looking forward to this weekend since it's a long 4-day holiday, and a lot of you must be paying close attention to what I'm about to say. I don't want to throw cold water on it here, but it seems like we'll experience some good as well as some bad. It'll be relatively clear and sunny, but temperatures will be high enough for our just perfect for our outdoor activities, but nationwide precipitation is in the forecast this Sunday afternoon. And not only that, there's a chance of yellow dust on Monday. So when you're going outside with your children, please do keep that in mind to celebrate Children's Day. And currently the skies are partly cloudy, and as we go further into the day, more clouds will start building up, and the central region will receive some drizzles of less than 5 millimeters. So for more details, let's take a closer look at today's forecast around the nation. Today we have a mix of different pressure systems around the peninsula, a high over the South Sea as well as a low over in the north. Temperatures are slightly higher than yesterday. Seoul's highs are the coolest at 22 and Daegu the warmest at 29 degrees Celsius. Watch out for the big fluctuations between the morning and the afternoon. The coastal areas are expected to have strong gusts after midday, while a heavy wind advisory has been issued in the mountainous regions of Gangwon-do province, so people in those areas should take extra caution. This has been Chun Sung-cho, and that's all I have for the weather update.
Let's now get a check on the stories that are making headlines around the world. Our Eunice Kim is standing by at the news center for that. Good morning, Eunice. Let's begin with an update on that deadly attack at a train station in China. Authorities are pointing the finger at religious extremists.
Right. I'd mentioned yesterday that this northwestern region had been riddled with violence as Islamist separatists have been calling for an independent state. And now the Chinese government is saying this latest terror attack in Urumqi was carried out by at least 2 suspects with a history of religious extremism. It said both people, suspected to have struck bystanders with knives before detonating explosives, died in that explosion, taking with them 1 other person. 79 others were wounded. In reaction, Chinese President Xi Jinping called for decisive action and said the government must prepare itself for a, quote, long-term, complex, acute fight against Xinjiang separatists. He was concluding a 4-day tour of the Uyghur Autonomous Region when that attack took place. Wednesday's onslaught was the 3rd high-profile attack against civilians in 7 months blamed on Xinjiang extremists. Meanwhile, tension in Ukraine is only heating up. Ukraine's acting president Oleksandr Turchinov has reinstated military conscription as Kiev continues to lose its grip on eastern Ukraine. Pro-Russian militants took the regional prosecutor's office in the flashpoint city of Donetsk on Thursday. This as NATO is boosting its presence in the region. A formal rotation ceremony was held on Wednesday in Lithuania, swapping out U.S. air contingents for NATO forces in the Baltic air policing mission. Meanwhile, Russian news agency RIA Novosti reports that Moscow began Air Force drills Thursday near its border with Estonia and Latvia. Together with Lithuania, the 3 Baltic states were under Soviet occupation for 50 years before they joined NATO and the EU. And in Syria, at least 33 people have been killed in an airstrike over its largest city of Aleppo on Thursday. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said government warplanes dropped missiles over a busy market in the rebel-controlled district. It follows a bombing over a school in southern Aleppo that killed 18 people one day before. Criticism continues to mount against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who is preparing to be re-elected in a June poll as his government continues to attack rebel-held parts of Aleppo. Now, more than 150,000 people have died in the 3 years of conflict against the Assad regime.
And finally, regarding the story on the missing Malaysian airliner, we did mention yesterday that the families need some kind of closure, but this was not the closure they were asking for. Malaysian Airlines said that they would close its relatives support center in Beijing. What's the reaction there?
Yeah, and you can imagine the emotional reaction that poured out following that announcement. Relatives wailed and yelled at the authorities. One person asking, "Who will find our family members?" Another yelling, "What can we do?" As you know, more than 100 of the 239 passengers on board that flight were from China. The flight itself was en route to Beijing before it apparently made a sharp turn away before going missing. Malaysia Airlines said the assistance center at Beijing's Lido Hotel will close on this Friday, while other centers will close next Wednesday. They said the move was to encourage families to receive updates in the comfort of their own homes, but for the families, it's striking fear and outrage. Meanwhile, Malaysian authorities released a preliminary report on its investigation of the missing plane. The report said related personnel only noticed the flight had disappeared from radar 17 minutes after the fact and did not activate an official rescue until 4 hours later. And that's a wrap of the global headlines we're following this morning.
And still ahead, we bring you a recap of this week's entertainment news, as well as a look at some of the big Korean names breaking into the Hollywood scene. Byung-hun, Choi Min-sik and BoA are just a few. Denny Hong has more on this story. Time now for news sum up. A park in Korea's southern port city of Busan is trending now as it took more than a century for it to open to the public.
Right. Now, this piece of land was taken away by Japan during its colonial rule of Korea in 1910, but has now been returned to the city. Let's go over to our Seo Mi-sorang for more. Good morning, Mi-sorang.
Good morning. A lot of things happened yesterday that grabbed people's attention, so let's get started and see what was trending online the past 24 hours. Yesterday, the Busan Citizens Park opened up after 3 years of development, while actor-singer Park Yoo-chun's TV series 3 Days aired its final episode. There were still very long lines of people visiting the great memorial altars for the Sewol-ho ferry victims, while the spring tide in Jindo will end today, hopefully making things easier for the remaining search operation. Meanwhile, the U.S. Federal Reserve announced Wednesday that it will keep key benchmark interest rates close to zero for a considerable time after bond purchases end. Now let's start with an item down south in Busan. Some 500,000 square meters of land located at the heart of Busan City is being returned to its residents after 100 years. Let's take a look. The entire area was taken from the people during Japanese occupation in 1910s and turned into army headquarters for Imperial Japan. Following Japan's surrender in 1945, the land was used as a U.S. Army camp for about 60 years until 2006, when it was formally returned to Busan. After 4 years of disagreement with U.S. over who would foot the environmental cleanup costs, Busan undertook a 3-year operation to redevelop the area into the beautiful and dynamic park it is today. Although the park's opening is a momentous occasion of historical and symbolic significance, the initial fanfare that was planned for the opening ceremony Thursday was pulled back in light of the Sewol-ho ferry disaster. So for those of you with plans to visit Busan in the near future, Make sure to include the park in your itinerary and have an amazing time. Moving on to our next item, a name that may be familiar to all of you K-pop and K-drama fans out there. A lot of idol singers have branched into acting, but only a few have been successful in really establishing themselves as a solid actor. Park Yoo-chun is one of the few. In his latest work, 3 Days, that ended yesterday, the JYJ member plays Han Tae-kyung, an elite bodyguard to the country's president, played by Son Hyun-ju. Throughout the 16-part series, Park convincingly expresses a wide range of complex emotions, ranging from grief and anger over his father's death, anguish and uncertainty while burning key evidence, to loyalty and disgust with the president. He also showcases agility and deftness through martial arts sequences scattered throughout. Park's co-stars and production staff weren't short of praises for the K-pop actor, expressing their confidence in the blossoming actor. That's it for today's edition of New Summer. I'll be back with more updates on Monday.
Still ahead on Korea Today, the district of Mapo-gu has become the center of information technology companies as well as a new ground for the media industry. But that's not all. Behind the scenes, it has some of the best eateries. Chef Matthew Chung explores Mapo.
And good morning to you all as we kick things off with the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, which is still about 4 years away. And after the IOC's organizing committee held their 3-day meeting, they liked what they saw. The IOC members taking a look at how the preparation is being done for the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Games during their 3rd meeting so far. They liked what they saw as Gunilla Lindberg, one of the VPs of the IOC, stated that she's sure it'll be a success. But she did add that there's still room for improvements, as she stated that some of the venues, marketing, event service, and test venues could use a little more improvement. And moving over to the LPGA, where the North Texas LPGA Shootout just kicked off their 4-day event. And with Park Yoo-chun claiming the title last season, she hopes to defend that title. And with 17-year-old Lydia Ko now participating in the event, all eyes will be on #1 ranked Park Yoo-chun, who hopes to defend her title and win her first title of the season as well. Park, who started off the season slow, is quickly improving each week as she hopes to continue her recent success with her putting game. Meanwhile, with the Seoul Memorial Altar being set up in Dallas, Park Se-ri and Lee Ji-young was seen at the altar paying respect to the victims before the event kicked off. And moving over to the KBO, where the blown calls have been a center of a huge controversy during the past week, but things are getting really serious after one fan attacked an umpire on Wednesday night. Now, during Wednesday night's Kia SK game, after what looked like to be another blown call, an intoxicated Kia fan ran onto the field and attacked the first base umpire. And while he was placed under police custody, the Kia Tigers have also banned him for life on all Kia home games. Meanwhile, the team added that all alcoholic beverages with 6% or more in alcohol content will not be sold as well. And staying in the KBO, let's take a look at Thursday night's KBO action. The Kia Tigers get revenge thanks to SK's new KBO record of 8 errors in a single game by beating them 20-2. And also the NC Dinos beating the LG Twins 10-5, and the Nexon Heroes hang on to beat the Tucson Bears 2-1. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Lotte Giants take on the Hanwha Eagles. Of course, going into the game here, we go over to the first inning of the game. Kim Tae-gyun, RBI double to center field, and the Hanwha Eagles take the lead 1-0. Before Felix P.A. grounds one to second base, this one an RBI ground out, giving the Hanwha Eagles the early 2-0 lead. Meanwhile, Hanwha's Yoo Chang-sik with another shutout performance, throwing 5 innings of no-run ball while giving up just 4 hits. Meanwhile, 9th inning, men out first and second. Park Jong-yoon drives his ball to deep left center field. Ko Dong-jin makes the catch and the throw to first in time, double play. The Hanwha Eagles win this one 3-0. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great weekend, everyone, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
The entertainment scene was rather subdued this week following the Sewol ferry sinking incident, and messages of condolences and support has been flooding in from the entertainment industry. For more on this and other entertainment news, we have our Denny Hong here joining us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're right. So there was a lot of top celebrities in Korea that have been paying their condolences to the victims of the ferry accident, as well as making some donations as well. Alongside of that, in news this week, we also had a lot of interesting facts coming out for Korean films and dramas. So let's take a rundown and take a look at these stories from the week. Donations have been pouring in from many different celebrities for the victims and families of those affected by the Sewol ferry disaster. Actor Song Seung-hun was one of the first, sending in about $100,000. This was followed by stars like Kim Soo-hyun, Chun Ji-hyun, and Ha Ji-won offering their condolences and help for the victims. Singer Kim Chang-won released a tribute song called Yellow Ribbon on the radio and through YouTube for the ferry accident victims, touching the hearts of many. He also left a message saying that what we need now is hope, offering words of support as well as sharing his spirit of mourning. Actress Chun Do-yeon has been named a jury member at the Cannes Film Festival, becoming the first Korean to be on the jury panel for the Screenplay Awards. It's considered an extremely prestigious role to take on in the global film industry, so more eyes will be on the Cannes Awards this year. The movie Han-gongju has been invited to the Edinburgh International Film Festival for the international competition category, after receiving a lot of great reviews from film critics. The Edinburgh Film Festival is known for its long-standing history, and famous Korean films such as Old Boy and The Host were also invited to this event in the past. Han-gongju has brought in roughly 150,000 people to theaters within 12 days of its premiere, setting new records for an independent film. The drama 3 Days, featuring K-pop group JYJ's Park Yoo-chun in the lead role, broke through the 300 million mark with views on China's largest video sharing website, Youku. The drama itself was exported to China at a record high price, surpassing that of the explosively popular Korean drama My Love from the Stars. Another reason why people are watching it very closely.
It was good to see that the entertainment industry came together in support for the victims of the Sewol ferry this week. But you are here to talk to us about some Korean names that are making their way into the Hollywood market.
That's right, some big names in the big market, blockbuster
Many
hits.
people are curious and excited about this.
Well, that's right. When it comes to, I guess in the past, it was more of a rarity to see Korean actors and actresses making their mark into the Hollywood film industry. But it's become more of a common trend these days. So not only people that are making their debut, but also some people that are continuing on with their current success in Hollywood film. So let's take a look at these actors and what they've been up to. One of Korea's leading stars making it to Hollywood is Byung-hun, who made his mark with the G.I. Joe series and Red 2, and recently was cast to star in yet another blockbuster. The film this time is none other than Terminator 5.
I'll be back.
The news came from The Hollywood Reporter, one of the major publications covering the entertainment industry. At the end of last month, Terminator is a much-loved sci-fi franchise, not only in Korea but across the world, and interest is high on what role Byung-hun will play.
Come with me if you want to live.
There have been reports from the international media that he's likely to play the role of a super cyborg that threatens Sarah Connor. That seems to be most likely at this point.
They paid me to kill you.
The Korean heartthrob has already shown off great work with Bruce Willis and Helen Mirren, and this time he will be joining the Terminator himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Emilia Clarke. Another Korean actor that has people excited is Choi Min-sik, who put himself in the spotlight with the mystery thriller Old Boy. Recently, the trailer for the movie Lucy, where he stars alongside Morgan Freeman and Scarlett Johansson, was unveiled, generating a colossal amount of interest from movie fans.
merely slipped a little package.
In his Hollywood debut film, Che plays the role of a nefarious drug cartel leader and taxi driver with his charismatic acting on full display.
Yes, take me to the hospital now.
Yet another Korean star breaking into the Hollywood scene is K-pop singer BoA, who has people talking with the movie Make Your Move. As a dance group leader in the film, BoA shows off her dancing skills and also brings out a romance story with American dance star Derek Hugh.
Because I never act before, even in Asia, so it's very first film in my life, and it's in Hollywood.
Another Korean star we cannot leave out is actress Byung-hun, who has been cast for The Avengers: Age of Ultron, a Hollywood film that spent some time filming here in the nation's capital. There's also K-pop household name Rain, busy with The Prince, and actress Bae-duna, who was tapped for the next Wachowski film, Jupiter Ascending. It's no surprise to find Korean stars now on the Hollywood silver screen, but where is this demand coming from?
Actors Lee Byung-hun and Choi Min-sik were very well received for their roles in movies like A Bittersweet Life and Old Boy, shown through foreign film festivals. And movie producers and directors who have seen those films would find these stars more attractive for their movies as well.
Korean stars have been making headway into the global movie industry with a lot of anticipation surrounding their new films.
So it definitely seems that there's a lot of movies to look forward to, but including his recent casting for Terminator 5, there are concerns that Lee Byung-hun's role in a Hollywood movie might be limited to a supporting role of a bad guy.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, in my personal opinion, because if you think about what is the most diverse character she could play, probably the villain. Would you rather be Othello or would you rather be Iago in Shakespeare's play? It's actually, I think, more diverse if you play that villainous role. And technically, his roles in the past, G.I. Joe, Storm Shadow, you're a villain, but he's a loved character. In Red 2, right, his character was also a villain, but so is everyone in the entire film. So I would say it was not really typecast. And for Terminator, would you rather play the Terminator or would you rather play
Many Korean fans would like to see him play the role of Terminator, though, and go down
Arnold's
like
got that
this.
locked down. But I think when it comes to those roles that he has, he's actually interesting because he's been in continually popular blockbusters throughout the years. And so I think this is actually a very good thing for him, as well as for, I guess, Asian male actors as well, too.
You know, I completely agree with you. I think it's great to play the villain. Choi Min-sik, he also plays the villain this time around. You know, he plays such a good villain. I think maybe he might even be like the villain of the year, or qualify for something like that. But regardless, let's go back to Rain and Bae-duna, who's been filming with the Wachowski siblings for quite some time. So sometimes they call him the power duo, right?
Well, when it comes to Rain, he's had two, Speed Racer as well as Ninja Assassin, and then Bae-duna was also in Cloud Atlas. And so I guess they have been kind of mainstays for this team. But when it comes to Rain's more comeback film, which is supposed to come out later on this year, basically he filmed his portion of it and finished it last December, and it's going to come out later on. He plays also a villain in this one too, opposite Bruce Willis. Bae-duna, we're not quite sure what she's going to be playing in Jupiter Ascending. It has been very tight security, but we are looking forward to seeing what's going to happen when it's released.
In the meantime, we're quite impressed that BoA speaks such good English, too,
Yeah,
right? And Lee Byung-hun on top of that, too.
Yeah, that movie is actually available right now. You can view it in theaters near you here in Korea, at least.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to Lee Byung-hun being in Terminator. I'm looking forward to the Choi Min-sik movie. I'm looking forward to all these Korean actors being overseas. Denny, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
All right, now we're going to get a look at the top 5 of the Korean pop music charts and see what music is hot.
달려간다 이게 마지막 선물이 될지도
All right, time for Korea Eats. Matthew Chung will take us to Mapo, but he's such a teaser. He's brought with him some
Empty
plates,
plates.
right, and chopsticks, but no food.
All in good time. Good morning.
Good morning.
So yes, Mapo-gu. It's a fantastic neighborhood, not just to live in here in Seoul, but it's a great restaurant neighborhood. And part of it is the diversity you find there, not just in the people, but on the table itself. So why don't we take a look and see what makes Mapo-gu so special? So today we're checking out Mapo-gu, and first off is Sangam DMC, the digital media city. Now, there are a ton of IT companies and media companies. They're all setting up shop right here. And if you walk through here, it almost feels like you're in the future. Here in Mapo-gu, it's right in the middle of the city, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have some geographical diversity. So we're at the World Cup Park right now, and it was built in 2002. And this is actually a repurposed landfill. And you would never guess it by seeing how gorgeous it is here. And one thing I love about this place is that it has one thing that this city is kind of in short supply of, and that's wide open spaces. You know, here in Mapo-gu, it's famous for its jokbal. So you really have to nail this dish in order to stand out in this neighborhood. So this is jokbal. It's the pig's trotter. The foot really is what it is. And if you see, it's got this beautifully lacquered skin around it. And that's the best part. When you chew into it, it's got this wonderful chewiness to it. And then squid itself, it's served very simply. And, you know, just to bring out that flavor of the squid. And it's all served alongside these noodles. They're mimir, they're buckwheat noodles, and they're smothered in this spicy sauce. It's all kind of meant to be eaten together. So I'm excited because these are some of my 3 favorite things all on one plate, and I got a feeling it's gonna be delicious. Sweet on the outside, intensely porky on the inside, that meat. And it really does make a difference, chilling it overnight. Now, it's time to taste the squid. You take a bite of the squid, it gives you a break from the richness of the jokbal. And then you go back to the jokbal to get that punch of flavor. Honestly, I'm a little jealous that I didn't think of it myself. Isn't the best part of most dishes, you know, the starch that comes along with it? These noodles, they're, like I said, you know, they're mimir, they're made from buckwheat. And they've got sweet, spicy, salty sort of thing going on. So it's a perfect complement for something, you know, like what we have with our dish, because you have the 2 different flavors. So this kind of ties everything together. The great thing about Mapo-gu is that it has all these hidden gems. And this is 소금길. It literally translates to salt road, and it's because it had a lot of salt storage places. It's a really cool place because it has this great indie feel to it. It's hidden, it's out of the way, and you really have to search to find it. And it's all about the atmosphere. It's very design-oriented, and you can really spend your whole day here.
We created this street using donations from Yeonglidong residents, restaurants and hospitals for the construction on top of the funds we receive from the government.
So what makes this area different from others is you look up, you call in, you say what number you're at, and then the authorities can come to you. And not only that, there are those, and there are also emergency bells as well. Not only that, but if you go through these alleyways, there are actually little areas to exercise. It smells kind of cute. And tourism in this area has gone up, so check it out before it gets a little too gentrified. So we spent a beautiful day at the park, and now we're here at this restaurant. It's 왕대통 수다찜. What's great is that I smell something delicious, but you know, it's like all I have here so far are my little garnishes. Wow. This isn't all for me, is it? Wow. Now this is impressive. I've never seen anything like this before. So this feeds 10 right here. I think this is a very definition of an embarrassment of riches. This is so much food. You have, your seafood, you have octopus, abalone, shrimp, and then you have your smoked meats. You have sausage in here, you have smoked duck, and then, other poultry such as turkey, chicken. Man, it's crazy. I'm just gonna dig in. And really, it is digging in, I suppose. Wow. Okay, so I think there's some turkey. When do you ever get to eat like this? I mean, all these different meats. It's completely unique. There's nothing else like it out here. The way that they make this guy too, it's really cool. So they take this, this bisected, this split bamboo log, and they stuff it full of all this food. And then they cook it low and slow over oak charcoal. And what that does, it creates this incredibly fragrant log full of meat. That's pretty cool.
Yes,
you really had a
pretty
feast.
cool.
It's true. It's like that's meant for 10, by the way. I did end up finishing most of it myself.
Wow.
But there's so many to pick from. Like, what did it taste like? All of them, all different kinds of meat and seafood.
Well, it was so you had like a couple different types of poultry. You had chicken, turkey, duck, and then you had beef in there as well, vegetables, seafood. So when you smell all together, it has this really sort of savory, smoky quality to it. Because a lot of the meats in there, they go in there smoked, and then they're cooked over the coals, getting that further sort of open fire flavor to them.
Mm-hmm. We would have really liked to try it in person, but it's a pity that you didn't bring any for us.
Funny you'd say that.
Did you?
Actually, I brought a little morning treat. What is it? Just a little thing.
Oh wow!
Just a little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
A snack.
That's a snack.
Snack.
If this is a snack, I want to know what your meals are. Matthew, this is fabulous. Look at that. And thank you for bringing that over.
And this isn't even the size that you had. No. Yours was longer.
Yeah,
You're right.
We had the one that I had. They have different sizes. So the one that I had was the full-sized one. So this is a little baby compared to what I got.
Okay,
wow,
so
look at.
What do you suggest I try
don't even know where
first?
to begin.
I mean, really, that's the beauty of this. You can just pick and grab whatever you want. There's such a wide variety.
How are you supposed
offered.
to know what you want with this much of a variety?
Right, it's a paradox. It's a paradox of choice.
Okay.
That's samgyeopsal, looks like.
Samgyeopsal. I'll just try with the basic over here.
I'm gonna go for sausage.
So,
wow.
what makes a presentation like this great is, when you have a large group of people, especially, we're talking about, taking all of, our coworkers there, our friends, our family, just anytime you have a big gathering of people and you need to feed a lot of bellies at once, something like this is fantastic for it.
I want to show our viewers this baby right here, if I can pick it up.
Monstrous
Look at
octopus.
this.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
would you like to try this, Young?
So yeah, that's a little bit too scary for me. It just looks like it's going to come to life. But now we have the chicken and the shrimp and of course the abalones as well and all that, just all that good stuff, right? But let's can we try to focus real quick to the chokbal over here too?
For sure, and
this looks really good.
It is fantastic, and it's one actually, interestingly enough, it's one of the most popular delivery items here in Korea. Yeah, late night chokbal is a huge thing here. Part of it is just because, like, compared to other pork cuts, it's a lot less fatty, but it has a lot. It's not lean like pork tenderloin is, because it doesn't have a lot of fat, but it does have a lot of that connective tissue, that collagen, which turns into gelatin as you cook it low and slow.
And that's like the secret to great skin for all the ladies out there. That's why right? It's really good for you.
Wow. So the great thing about chokbar, about pig's trotters, is that texture. It's got this beautiful chew to it. It doesn't just kind of fall apart in your mouth. It has some resiliency. It's alive, and that's one of the reasons why it goes great with the squid, because both of them do have that beautifully pleasant texture, chewy texture to them, but in different ways.
Am I supposed to have it together?
And then
you can have it however you'd like. You could have it with the noodles. You could have it all one by one. So there's no one set way to enjoy it. It's just, you just have to enjoy it.
Right. And then mixing the noodles involves some workout too. It gives you pre-dinner workout.
Sorry, I was preoccupied with the chokbar and the squid. So.
Can I have some squid, please?
And this memilmyeon is supposed to be good for you too, right?
Buckwheat is probably one of the best grains out there. It's an ancient grain, and unlike more refined flours, things like buckwheat, they just come really packed with the nutrition. But not only that, but the flavor. And the makguksu itself, it's the spicy, it's the sweet.
And the other thing is that it's very low in calorie too. So people that who are on a diet, they resort to makguksu a lot of the time, and naengmyeon as well, right?
The thing about like things like makguksu is that because it is it's not the refined grain. It does have a lot more fiber in there, and and noodles in general, there's something about them. You just they fill you up. They're satisfying. So you don't have to eat quite as much of it in order to feel full.
All right. Well, Matthew, thank you for the noodles, the chokbar, and this monstrous feast over here.
We'll have a feast today.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you
it's
so
a pleasure.
All right, that's our Friday for you today.
All right, we do have that golden 4-day weekend up ahead for many of you who are watching. Enjoy that weekend, and we'll be back here on Monday.
That's right. On Children's Day, we have a special program lined up for you, so do join us then.
Bye-bye.